Hi and welcome to ThePrint. My name is Karanjeet Kaur and I'm a journalist and an editor. Today I'd like to read you some excerpts from my column on the Porsche drunk driving case in Pune that killed 2 people. The 17-year-old drunk juvenile driving a Porsche Taycan at 160 kilometers an hour in Pune did not alone kill 24-year-olds Anisha Vadhya and Ashwini Costa. Neither did the juvenile's father, prominent builder Vishal Agarwal, who was arrested in Sambhaji Nagar yesterday. The murderers of the 2 IT engineers are an intricate machinery of complicity and impunity. Several institutions enabled a tragedy of this magnitude through their collective dereliction of duty and failure to uphold the law. Here are some of the killers that colluded in this accident. The authorities that allowed the luxury sedan to be driven on the streets of the city without proper registration or license plates since March. They were hand in glove with a system that lets off underage drivers and their guardians with barely a slap on the wrist on the off chance that they are apprehended. Combined with an establishment that is only too happy to serve alcohol to minors when the legal drinking age in most Indian states is 21 and is 25 in Maharashtra. A system that turns a blind eye to enforcing penalties for offences like drunk driving, driving without a license, or overspeeding, particularly when the offenders are wealthy, famous, and powerful. On the other side of the accident is a justice system that granted bail to the culprit within 15 hours of detention, on conditions that included a 300-word essay, assisting traffic police for 15 days, and seeking the help of a psychiatrist. This is the value that magistrates have put on our lives. Such trivial, meager stipulations openly scoff at the grief of the families of the young victims. The leniency shown in the immediate aftermath of the devastating accident in Pune is not unprecedented in India's legal history. It is a pattern. It calls to mind earlier high-profile cases where public figures managed to evade stringent punishment despite severe allegations. Remember the Sanjeev Nanda BMW case in Delhi, which introduced the phrase hit and run to the national lexicon in 1999? A few years later, Salman Khan solidified the term in our collective consciousness. Both cases set up a disturbing precedent that made the message clear to ordinary Indian citizens. If you're a person of influence, the judicial outcome of your crimes will amount to nothing more than a mere tickle. What the rest of us will be left holding are tired cliches about how cheap human life is in India, or that old bromide after every avoidable tragedy, which is called Spirit of Mumbai. The public outrage in the Pune case has no doubt pressured the police into acting swiftly and possibly overcorrecting. They say that the accused should be tried as an adult, owing to the severity of the crime. But really, we must examine our own role in public life and ask ourselves some difficult questions. Ashwini Costa and Anisha Vadhya were bright, promising individuals, just like your next-door neighbors. They were on the brink of forging successful careers. But if they weren't people like us, would we witness this kind of widespread outrage? Every year, thousands of people die avoidable deaths in India, and the poor and marginalized are disproportionately affected. Yet, all of this passes by unnoticed, because only certain lives seem to ignite public fury. Unless, of course, the scale of the tragedy is too vast to be obscured by a veil of public apathy. Take the Odisha train collision of 2023 that killed more than 290 people, most of whom were in general category compartments. Over 1,200 people were injured in the same collision. However, in the last 1 year alone, 2,590 people lost their lives on Mumbai's suburban railway network, mostly due to falling off overcrowded running trains. The corresponding figure for 2022 was 2,507. Let these figures sink in. Despite the staggering numbers, it's the episodic calamities that capture our collective outrage. routine, everyday tragedies are completely normalized. They fade into the backdrop and become part and parcel of life in a big city. It isn't just the trains that are killing us either. Indians are dying everywhere in preventable tragedies. Indians are dying in sewers. According to government data, 1,035 people have died while cleaning sewers since 1993. These deaths average more than 300 to 500 a year. And these are just the reported figures, arguably not reflective of actual ones. Indians are dying in the death traps that are firecracker factories. Following the deaths of 40 people at the Sivakasi factory explosion in 2012, 298 people have lost their lives in similar incidents since 2014. Indians are dying due to an overheating planet, in severe heat and cold waves and routine floods. Thousands of Indians are getting electrocuted, falling into manholes and off newly constructed flyovers. They're getting buried under illegal hoardings, they're getting mauled by stray animals, and they're dying in fatal accidents involving stray cattle. Are any of these issues on the manifestos of political parties that campaign during election season? Or are we happy to swing between Mangal Sutra and Mandir and Muslims? This selective attention highlights a broader, unsettling truth about our own empathy. It is only when we see ourselves reflected in the victims that our empathy flows freely. Our compassion is often conditional, circumstantial, and not meant for everyone. As we reflect on the deaths of Anisha Vadhya and Ashwini Costa, we must also force ourselves to confront our collective moral blind spots. Because our indifference makes us complicit. We rage against high-profile crimes, but we are accepting of daily injustices that don't affect us directly. It would serve us well to remember that someday we can all be victims of the same systemic negligence that allows a juvenile to drive a death machine on our streets. And in the end, the price of our selective empathy is paid for in human lives.